Hi, welcome to No Strings Attached Street Ministry. Well guys, I've been living in the van for about 5 years and come to realize and figured it's time to come clean and to have a confession. Any little dirty secrets that I've been hiding from you guys. I guess it's wrong to do so. So I'm going to reveal those, and hopefully it might help you guys walk as you got in your van and drive away and hopefully have a lot better life than what you're having now. So with that said, what should I start with? I'll tell you what I'll start with. This is one of my secrets. This is what they call a seal-a-meal. It's actually a vacuum pack bag machine. And the biggest thing with a lot of people that travel always buys their groceries and then puts ice on top of them. And this is how I've come to find out how I can do that and not have to worry about the water that it produces, and then 3 days later you're burning all your food and throwing it away because your bread gets soggy, and you know what I'm talking about, all kinds of things. Your milk spills or whatever it might be. But I'm going to show you a few of my tips and tricks here to hopefully make your life a lot easier. Now on the back of this machine, if you look at the back, you'll see on the back here that it actually gives us the voltage, which is 120 volts AC power. It gives you the hertz, 60 hertz, and also this one here will either give you the wattage, or it will also give you the amperage. This one here is 1.2 amps. Now your wattage, to figure out wattages, is a formula that van dwellers will probably end up having to memorize, because everything is so critical in your power. Solar power all talks about wattage, what can you run on wattage, what kind of inverters you need, what kind of wattage of an inverter you need. I'm going to sort of explain what that all does. 1.2 amps at 120, so you take 120, alright, volts, times that by your amps, which is 1.2, will give you 144. So 144 watts is what this machine will pull. So that gives you an idea of what size inverter that you need to run that, and what would do it comfortably and easily. So that's how you would figure it. Now if it was backwards, let's say your wattage, then if you have your wattage, then you would just divide that number into your voltage, and then that gives you your amps. So it's just back and forth, it's how you would figure out what it is. As long as you have your voltage, 12 volts, 110 volts, whatever it is, 220 volts, it's the same formula. So you always figure out what it is. So if you're trying to figure out, that's a good rule of thumb, to how to sort of compare what you have. With that said, this vacuum packer, the reason that I like it is because I can buy things in bulk. I can break that down. I can store it flat. I can store everything. I can store 4 times as much food in one little tray about this wide and about this tall, about as long as this table. I can store enough food in there that it would take you probably to store your entire van full. So that's how easy and how much more compact your food storage will be. So use that as an example as well. Plus you can break things down. You buy it in bulk, or you buy packages like your meat and stuff like that. You can buy, most steaks like at Walmart come in like 3 packs or 4 packs. And you're only one person, fine. Bring it out, open that up, put one steak in one bag and one steak in another, and just vacuum seal it down. You don't have to worry about getting wet. You can just keep it frozen. Just toss it in the bottom of your ice chest. You dump your fresh ice in on top of all this vacuum packed stuff. It's always fresh and it's clean. You don't have jelly running in with your, in with your food or in with your ice when you're trying to get a glass of ice to make a Coke or something with. You don't have bread particles floating around in there. All kinds of things can happen. I'm going to show you a few examples of what I use to vacuum pack, and I'll show you how you can do the same. So over here I've got a few bags of some things that I use. I use almonds and walnuts. Typical things that most people eat. How about cereal? Alright. How about these kind of Mylar bags you find? Now this is all the size that you have. Alright. So there are always tons of stuff that's packed in this kind of stuff. What about chips? You ever open up a bag of chips and you can't close it? These things won't fold open, they won't stay closed. You usually have to have a clip or something to hold them on. What about, say, refried beans? Hey, have you ever opened up a can of beans or something like that? Well, one guy can't eat a whole can of beans. So what you do, you use it, you pour the rest into another bag, and you buy it Mylar, throw it back in the cooler, and have it for another day. It's that simple. And if it's warm like this already, don't cook it. Put the other half in the bag, zip it back up, throw it back up in the cupboard. Alright? What about hamburger buns? See what I mean? What about storing coffee? Now here's one that's hard packed and here's one that's soft packed. What about bread? So you can do bread. You can do anything that you want to do in these bags. Even water. I didn't fill this up on reason because I wanted you to see the water actually in it. But this is what you can even do. That's about 6 ounces of water. And look how flat it is. It's not a whole bottle of water taking up a big old bulky space. So even for backpackers, things like that, these are great ideas for people that use these. You use them wisely and really think it out. You can vacuum pack anything you want to vacuum pack. People said, oh, you can't do the cereal boxes. Well, here's one that I did. It's already half open. You see that? And you see the top is sealed all the way across. You know what I mean? It holds air. See, it's still got air in it. So it's not leaking. The other one is chips. These chips are completely sealed all the way across the top. See? All the way across. So, and these are great bags to store as well, so you don't have to buy the bags if you don't want to spend the money on the bags. When you use this, clean it out, rinse it out, dry it. Well, this is what I do. I know a lot of people say, well, you got the disease police out there, that's going to, before you get too crazy. But I mean, you can store anything. When you open a bag, cut just the corner off or just the very top off. That way you have something else to seal to it, and as you use the product, your seal is going to go down, 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 down. To do your seal is very simple. You lay it in here, put it right across. If you just want the seal, you put it on just the heat bar, and you close the lid. Alright, you push down till the light comes on. Now it's sealing. When it stops, it's already heated up enough to seal it, and it'll pop the door open. Voila. Now that's resealed, double sealed. Alright? It's just that simple. Cut a little bit off, open it up. Even if it's just the corner, say you cut the corner off, then just put the corner back in. Do the same thing. Now if you want to vacuum seal it, you put the opening all the way past into this little white tray up at the top, like this. Then when you close it, it pulls a vacuum through the bag before it seals it. And he'll start just the same way, and he'll pull a vacuum on that, and then he'll seal it once again. So then, of course, everything in there is going to get tighter and tighter and tighter. Bread bags. People said, oh, you can't put them in there. The trick of bread bags, yes, you can. See, mine's completely sealed. Trick with bread bags is this little heater gets hot. This will melt. So what you need to do is roll it up a little bit, get at least a straight edge. Put it under your, right on top of your element. Once the element is there and you close it and you seal it, stop it just before, all right? Don't let it get too hot. Don't mess with it and give it a few seconds to cool off. Now once it's starting to cool, slightly lift up on it and pull the bag off the heater. Voila, perfect seal once again. And it didn't melt it. Pull it off too fast, it's just going to string out like it's melted glue, and you're going to have a mess on your hands. As long as you just let it sit and let it cool off a little bit, it comes back to what it is. These resealable bags are great. I usually buy them if I'm buying something that I need. That way if I open it, I don't have to pull this thing out. But even those can also be resealed. And if it breaks or something like that, you need to reseal it, just go right and reseal the same bag. It's a Mylar bag. These plastic bags are the same thing. They'll do the same exact thing as a Mylar bag. All these, you can do breads, soft breads, cakes, cupcakes, whatever you have, bagels. People say, no, these things will crush them. No, they won't. You put it on just the outside and seal it, you're going to get 2 or 3 extra days out of it. It's going to last a lot longer. Your meats, anything that you cook or uncook, that's not cooked, seal it up individually and eat it separately. Now if you're 2 people and you're going to have all your meals together, fine, then you break it down for 2 people, whatever your portions are. But the biggest thing is the canned foods, or the dry, like rice, flour, things like this. By using these Mylar bags, you keep all the critters out. No ants, no spiders, no bed bugs or whatever you might have in there. Nothing's getting in this bag. So I don't care if it's just laying out in the middle of the floor somewhere, nothing's going to get to it. It's not going to attract animals. Everything is so cool about these things. So these 2 coffee bags here that I made up is exactly the same. It's how much coffee I use to make a 10-ounce pot of coffee. So that's 3 scoops in each bag. All right, and you can pack them like this instead of having a big old giant container that it comes in. That with a Mylar lid. How fresh it smells when you get it. That's fine. So since you don't have to carry a grinder, you can carry one of those too. I've got one of those as well, but I didn't bring it out. But you can get just the beans, and you can reseal the same bag, or put it in these and put the beans in here and vacuum pack it, and it'll last for 20 years. It'll be just as fresh as it was the day you shut it up. So that's one of my tips and tricks and my confessions. That I've searched even online and I find nothing there. I've never seen any other van dweller really talk about this. But they're always complaining about how do you manage your ice? How do you keep the water out of your food? So on and so forth. So this is my trick on how I do it. Okay, as the second confession that I have is another device that I carry on my van that makes life a lot easier. Now people also, they say, Jim, I have a hard time carrying milk. And it's we need it for cereal and coffee and whatever, cooking with, but the thing that you can use is this is probably one of the best little things that I've ever put on the van. I use this more than probably anything else, is this little thing. This is what they call, well, it's the bullet thingy. I'm not here to product review, and they're not paying me anything, but I just want to show you what it is. It's called the Magic Bullet. So that's why I got the name out on it. Now this one here said as it's 205 watts and 120 volts. Now, if you got 120 volts and 205 watts, well, Jim, how many amps am I drawing out of my battery? All right, well, 205, what you do is you take 205 because it's the bigger number, and then you divide it with the, with the 120 this time. So you go 205 divided by 120, and what would that give you? 1.7 amps? No, yeah, 1.7 amps. So that's what this device pulls, which is really, honestly, minor for as much time as you're using it. So just to show you how this works, and I've got it running on my generator at the moment. I do have a battery bank in my van with all my, I've got a 2,000 watt inverter for my air conditioner. I got a 250 watt inverter for all my other little thingies. And then I've got a 100 watt inverter, one of the cigarette plug inverters that I only use to charge my computer and my cell phone. So I only use the inverter that I need for the devices that I'm operating. That way I know I don't have a lot of waste, on my power. So what I do is I use this. Say in the morning I wanted cereal. Well, you need milk to do so, right? So I make nut milk. Guys, any nuts will work. Just make sure you get them unsalted. Is always better. It's alright if that's all you can find. When you buy them, you can get walnuts, cashews, you name it, any kind of almonds, you name whatever nuts you like, you can use. Just make sure you're not allergic to nuts, because there is an allergic reaction some people have with nuts. But you can use those. I always get just the pieces. Why spend all the extra money for the wholes? It don't make no sense. You're going to grind them up anyway. So, buying, if you're getting almonds, let's say almonds especially, if you get whole almonds, they're expensive. You get almond pieces, the bits and pieces, you get them probably half price. So do it that way. Now I'm going to show you how to do a simple milk, and you do the same thing pretty much with all of them. You take a little bit of handful, drop it into your water. Alright. Now if that was whole, you probably have maybe 10 nuts in there, maybe 15 nuts at the most. But that's about how much nuts you need. Take you some bottled water, and you take this here. The best thing to do, if you're going to plan on having milk in the morning, take this and put it in water, especially with almonds and hard nuts. Put it in there and let it soak overnight. Okay, that way it's ready for you when you're needing it. But in a pinch, you don't have to. Just to let you know, it just won't taste as rich and as full. All right. So anyway, you put your nuts in there. You take it and you blend it. And you blend it. And you blend it some more. And you blend it some more. And you keep letting it blend. And you keep letting it blend. The finer you blend it, the better it is. Nut milk. Now, let's say you wanted it cold. Then you take 2 or 3 ice cubes. Don't fill it up, because then you'll make a slushy. But put 2 or 3 ice cubes in there. If you need more milk, you can just keep right on adding the water. Alright, now what is that whole thing? That's full. This is a 16-ounce bottle of water, and I probably got, maybe an ounce and a half left. Actually, use it up. Actually, you can use that to even clean it with afterwards. But you put that in there, put your ice cubes in there, you turn it on, you let it blend and blend and blend and blend and blend. Now as those ice cubes are being broken down, it's making that ice cold. So when you need ice cold, you're going to get ice cold. And when you're done, I do it this way. See, I don't like sweet as much. I'm not too much of a sweet type of guy. So I like my milk like this. To make it more like authentic milk, put just a little tiny little dab of honey in there, or even maybe even like a little pinch or so of regular white sugar, and mix it in there with it. Gives it sort of a sweet hinge, you know, to make it taste sort of like regular milk. If you want almond milk, the actual, you know, to make this right here, put maybe a teaspoon or a tablespoon in there. Just that sweetness to what your level of liking is, and then that way you have it. A lot of people say, no, it's very difficult to make this milk because, you know, you have to strain it and all this stuff. Honestly, it's not that hard. It's not even strained. You don't even need to strain it. You see the settlement on the top. It's just barely a little tiny little bit of settling on the top. You'll drink that and not even realize that you've even drinking it. If you want, you know, if you do want to strain it, then all you have to do, what I've done in the past, is I take my big cup that I have a big tall cup that I use, you know, that I drink out of all the time. It's one of them double-edged cups, you know, the cooler type cups, the big 32 ounce ones or whatever they are, the big ones. And I took a brand new pair of socks that's never even been worn, and I draped over top of it and left a little bit, you know, hanging down the bottom. Poured it through there, strained all this stuff out, and it was perfectly strained. So, and then I just used that pair of socks just for this, and I'll wash it. You know, when I do my laundry, I'll just do it anyway, and I'll pull those back out and use it again. But that's how you make almond milk or any kind of nut milk. And honestly, it's just as good as any almond milk that you'll spend. And you'll probably spend, I don't know, probably what, $6 for that nut, that right there. The whole bag would probably make you 50 gallons of almond milk, you know, on that size of a bag. So, you know, why go and buy the almond milk in the big jugs, and then once you open it, you have to keep it cool. This way you don't have to keep nothing cool. You know, you use what you use. You make what you use right then and there. Make it cup by cup. So if you have two, get 2 of these cups. Make 2 at a time. You can use this as your milk or your cereal. Pour it right in your bowl. Eat away. So it's just as simple. Plus, people that do smoothies, health drinks, you know, where they make these smoothies and things, these are great to have online. I mean, honestly, it's fairly easy. I don't know if I got enough water here to do it, but you just put clean water in there. When you get done, you put your lid back on it. You blend it again, once again. Turn it upside down so it cleans it. Take it back out. And if you even want to do farther, you can even put a drop of soap in there and do it that way. But they're very easy to clean and store. They're, you know, nice and compact. You don't need a whole lot of room, a whole lot of space. You can keep this here right in your dry storage. You don't have to worry about, you know, trying to store a big giant bulky thing of milk. And really, once you actually get used to almond milks and those kinds of milks, you know, you actually enjoy it better because you won't have that lactose intolerance. I don't care who you are as you get older. Milk, even though you don't think you're lactose intolerant, you try drinking this stuff and you'll find out that really you was. So that's what I've noticed. Cheeses is another thing that you look at. People say, well, I need to keep my cheese cool. Well, no, you don't really. Buy them block cheese, store it in those bags I told you about. You don't have to refrigerate. You don't have to put it in your cooler. Just toss it on the shelf. And that block itself, because it's completely sealed, will also do that. How do you think cheeses are made? You find some cheeses that are actually even dipped in wax. All it is just to seal off the air. That's the biggest thing, is getting the air out of it, because I think the air does more damage and more diseases than actually the temperature does. And we're talking just for a week anyway. You know, it's not like something you want to store. When you're in a van, you do not want to store your food for a month. If you're carrying a month's worth of food, it's crazy. Why? There's no reason. Get rid of it. You have the space. Build it down, compact it down to a small area to where you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to carry it. I have a little small cooler that I use every day, and I buy my food every single day what I'm going to eat for that day. That's all I have. Stuff. Okay, now for my third confession. I don't use a cooler. I use very little ice every day. I only use a small fold-away bag, you know, in a little travel that holds like a 6-ounce, you know, a 6-pack of, you know, Coke, that kind of ice bag. And I'll put my meat for the day in there, and whatever that I want or that I need to stay cold, I'll keep in that. At that time, I carry an ice machine on my van. This is a simple ice machine. This is what they call a countertop ice machine. You lift it up, you take your bottle of water, pour your bottle of water into it, goes into a reservoir at the bottom, it settles, you shut it down and you hit power on. And this thing will start to produce ice. From a dead stop, hot, everything about it will actually produce its first rack of ice in about 45 minutes. And about 20 minutes every time after that. So you can actually put 32 ounces of water in here, and within just about 4 hours you can have this thing almost full of ice. You'll fill up my cooler with it, my little tiny little cooler with it. Then what I do, because I use the Mylar bags, everything that I use is always clean water, so I just recycle that water through my ice machine. And I'll do that for about 2 days, and then I'll throw it out and get new water. So I'm confident, you know, I try to, you know, be conservative as much as I can with my water. This is an electric compressor motor, ice machine, nice little thing. Something that's made by Igloo. It's something that I think everyone should own. Doesn't take up a whole lot of space. I mean, you see how small it is. What is a 16-ounce bottle? You can tell how big it is. You can see how tall it is. You know, this is a regular old 16-ounce bottle of Walmart water. So it doesn't take up a lot. Now this one here is 115 volts. Alright, now I've already taught you how to do the math. This is 115 volts at 60 hertz. Alright. And this one here is 1.5 amps. Alright, so you can figure that out on your wattage, and I want you to do it so you know how to do your math. And that'll tell you what the, you know, what your amp draw is or what your watt draw is. And then that way, you know, you can learn to, you know, to adjust for whatever little inverter that you need to operate it. Now, anytime that you're using motors, like compressors, things like that, you'll usually want something that is about 3 times the size of the wattage that it's calling for. And the reason is because compressors need that much start voltage, you know, or start wattage to actually run, to start the motor. So the good rule of thumb is always to go 3 above that, 3 times as much. So like on my air conditioner, it draws 600 watts when it's running. So, you know, that's why I've got a 2,000 watt little generator on my truck. And it runs my air conditioner, and when it's running, with just my generator, I can completely power my whole rig, run power to everything where power is always on, my TV is always on, my air conditioner is down to 60 degrees, my ice machine's running, my little cooler's running, everything is running in there. I can run my microwave. Everything can run off of just that generator, and the good thing is it's quiet. If I want to run it 24/7, I can. I've got a 5-gallon extended gas tank on it. I can literally run it for probably 5 days continuously without non-stop. It uses about 1.5 gallons of gas per 24 hours, so it's very efficient. So that averages about, what is the gas, about $2 a gallon right now. So you're looking at what, $3 a day. That's what? How much is that a month? Times 30. 3 times 30 is $90. That's what you would pay for any kind of a small electric bill at any kind of little small apartment. My house was usually anywhere from $250 to $300 a month, for just the electric. So you see, you can still live in high comfort. I am in the middle of Florida. I live in Florida. I stay in Florida. I travel in Florida. I love Florida. So that's why I set my van up for the climate that I live in. I do have a fan in there if I want to. On the colder, the good comfortable days, I'll run a fan and not have to run the air conditioner stuff. But also on that, I also have a battery backup. I have 135 amp batteries, deep cycle batteries, and then I'll do that as another video, and I'll talk about that whole setup there that I have. And all right, well, I hope you all enjoyed some of my little secrets and tips. I know they were dirty little secrets, and I wanted it to be that way because these are things that I've never really seen any other van dweller talk about. Everyone talks about coolers and ice and all the hassles, and I can't afford $1 a dollar bag of ice every day, on and on and on. And it does, honestly, it gets draining financially, and it becomes a pain in the butt to deal with it every single day. You have full of water, you have to dump the water out in the driveway, It's just a mess. It's always sloshing around. You're busting things, you're breaking things, it's just not cool. All my condiments I keep out on the shelf. I buy the small little condiments. I keep those out just in the shelf. You don't have the refrigerator after it opens, trust me. Not for a couple weeks. That's why I buy the little stuff. And for like ketchups and mayonnaise and mustards and all that kind of stuff, I actually buy the stuff that you can get, the free stuff that you can get when you go to get a hamburger, say at McDonald's. And get a couple extras and start keeping a little stock, going. You'd be surprised how fast you can build those up. And they give you extras. If you don't use them all, toss them in the bag, keep them up, and that way, if you ever got something you want to make tacos, you got a couple Taco Bell seasonings you can put on them. Right out of there. You don't have to open up a big old bottle or something you got to keep refrigerated. So those are a few of my little tricks that I use. Hopefully this will help your lives a lot easier. Remember, guys, living in a van is about management. It's not easier. It's definitely not harder. It's different than what it is living in a house. And all you have to do is learn to adjust and adapt, to your environment and to what you have, and to think it out and to make things as easy as possible. So hopefully this will give you some tips and tricks. Hopefully to make your life a lot easier. God bless you. Have a great day.